Let's call this meeting of the Aurora City Council for January 23rd, 2024 to order. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Alderman Yamas?
Here.
Alderwoman Garza?
Here.
Alderman Masiacos?
Present.
Alderman Donnell?
Here.
Alderman Franco?
Here.
Alderman Seville?
Here.
Alderman Tolliver?
Here.
Alderwoman Smith? Here. Alderman Bug?
Here.
Alderwoman Babe?
Here.
Alderman Lash?
Present.
Alderman Warman?
Here.
Mayor Irvin's present.
Is there a motion to approve and appoint the Sergeant of Arms for this meeting? Motion been made by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Franco. All in favor? Motion carries by voice vote. Mr. Muhammad, have anybody special giving us our pledge this evening? All right. So let's rise for the pledge, followed by an invocation by Alderman Bug. I will start us off. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your wisdom and insight. Please help us as we make the decisions to help the citizens and businesses in the city of Aurora. God, we always call blessings on our first responders, our fire, our police, our emergency management, our snow plow drivers, and our special people at our various hospitals. God, bless us today. Give us wisdom as we do your will. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Muhammad, Community Affairs report.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. We're joined tonight by our esteemed Congressman of the 11th Congressional District. We know Congressman Foster well. He has a special presentation tonight. I do want to just acknowledge his commitment to the district, to Aurora, in so many ways. But, last Monday at the city's MLK ceremony, not only was he in attendance, he brought with him his bags to fly directly, to leave directly to the airport and fly directly to D.C. from the event. He didn't want to miss the event, and he knew he had a flight to catch. So we always appreciate his work. Also last week, he welcomed Mayor Irvin to D.C., to his office as they met and talked about, many things, including the city's census recount, and he expressed his commitment for that as well. And so we know how hard he works for the district. He last year, two pivotal things, for him. One, he opened a new office. He moved it from the far east side of Aurora to the west side of Aurora to be more centrally located to his district, but still committed and remains in Aurora. And last spring, he brought $2.3 million here to Aurora for the Public Safety Enhancement Project. Tonight, he's here to bring another $1 million. If we can give a round of applause for Congressman Bill Foster.
Well, good evening, everyone. For those of you who don't know me after all this time, I'm Congressman Bill Foster. I've been proud to represent Aurora as part of the different congressional districts. No matter how the maps change every 10 years, my first question is where'd they put Aurora, because that's where I'm going to be representing. And I've really been proud of everything the city has accomplished in the time that I've been representing it. But during my time in Congress, it's always been one of my top priorities to ensure that Illinois receives its fair share of federal funding. And it's also my duty to make sure that when that federal assistance arrives, that it arrives in places that do the most good for those that I represent. And that's why I was so proud to secure $1 million in federal funding to bring much-needed improvements to the Montgomery Road and Hill Avenue intersection. This funding is going to be used to help modernize traffic signals, create a turn lane, make sure the area is more pedestrian-friendly with ADA-compliant sidewalks and bike paths. I'm sure that most of us have been stuck in a jam at this intersection once or twice. I know that I have. It impacts drivers across the area, not just Aurora, because a lot of people commute through the area as well. And with the proximity to Phillips Park, it also is a high-traffic area for pedestrians. And that's why I was so proud that we were able to secure this funding. Modernizing this intersection is undoubtedly going to make the area safer. It's also important that when Clayton and the mayor bill the city of Aurora for their travel to Washington, D.C., that people understand there's some return on that investment.
Absolutely.
it's really, seriously, I'm really proud to see government work together at all levels to make projects like this happen. And, things like a traffic signal and a well-functioning intersection are a real sign that government is doing its job as it should. And residents have long noticed this being an ineffective intersection. And they got their local government on board, who just went to their congressman, our congressional office for assistance, and we were able to manipulate the wheels of government in D.C. on multiple levels and eventually make this project a reality. And I really can't wait to see it come to fruition. And so with that, I'd like to invite Mayor Richard Irvin and probably also the local alderman. Ted, do you want to come up here? Sure. And Ken Schroth also, who has been instrumental to come up here for the check.
Applause for the $1 million check. Take one more here. Mayor Alderman King, do you have any remarks?
I can say that I don't get to visit Congressman Foster at his office in D.C. very often, but this was a great visit because when we came back from this visit with him in D.C., we brought back $1 million check with us. So give him a round of applause for bringing that check. And let me say, I can say for sure that I love these large checks here, but I tried to cash the last one that you sent us, and it didn't work out, so I'm going to need you to show us the money, brother. Doesn't have a number on it. I'm going to try to cash this one here.
Well, yes, actually, the check number on there represents the bill number of the federal legislation that provided the money.
So another round of applause for Congressman Bill Foster for bringing this money here to the city of Aurora time and time again.
I just want to say thank you for all the assistance, Congressman, in bringing this money forward. Not only does it make the project possible, but the good news is, too, it gave us the confidence to extend the project a little further east and take care of another problematic intersection, which is the intersection of Farnsworth and Montgomery. So we're very much appreciative of the funding.
Okay, I just want to close by saying that when you hear that we're having these fights in Washington about budgets and how much federal money to provide, we're not fighting over nothing. We're fighting to make sure that projects like this can happen and help the people that we represent. So.
There's a little bit of surprise to me as well, as many of you out in the audience here this evening. One of the things I learned when I first came on board is how long it takes to get a project moving. And one of the projects that was a big concern in the Third Ward was this intersection. And I want to really thank Director Ken Schroth for his vigilance and never taking his eye off the ball on this one, for sure. But there's also something else besides design and the pressure to get things moving and keep the finger on the pulse, and that is the funding. And one thing that I appreciate here is the congressman working with our administration here and bringing up this $1 million and bringing it. I know everybody in the Third Ward is going to be very excited, but one thing that I do know, and if you know Congressman Foster, you know he's not a politician. And if you don't know him yet, you'll find out he's a public servant. He's a true public servant. He cares about our communities, and he cares about Aurora. Thank you so much.
Thank you to the congressman. They have a map of the $26 million that he brought back to the district. The map will stay here. And so after the meeting, you can stop by and just see some of the great work he's done. Thank you, the congressman, and to Maria Manzo.
Maria was responsible for that map.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. And Mayor, we have another presentation. Mr. Alex Alexandru and the team here.
Thank you and good evening, Mayor and City Council. Alex Alexandru, Chief Management Officer and Chief of Staff for the Mayor. So I wanted to provide, as I indicated over the weekend, to all of you a bit more information and detail about our warming center operations, specifically in and around January 22nd this past Saturday. So since January 13th, the city has activated the temporary overnight warming center at our Aurora Transportation Center. City actually has been operating, as many of you know, a warming center there on an as-needed basis for over 10 years, since 2014. The specific purpose was to augment the great work that Hesed House has done during the winter months. So city policy dictates that the staff use weather forecasting models combined with the city's emergency cold weather protocols to estimate the number of days the shelter would need to be open. Since 2022, the city also has utilized an outside security firm in tandem with city employees from our Community Services Department to staff the overnight shelter. Since its opening on January 13th this year, unfortunately, the number of health and security incidents in and around the Aurora Transportation Center has continued to grow in number and severity. Some issues were de-escalated by city staff and security, and a growing number resulted in assistance from APD and the Aurora Fire Department. Issues ranged from verbal altercations between city staff and warming center visitors, in addition to regular commuters who use the train station. The most serious issue and incident unfortunately occurred Saturday night, the 20th, when an individual entered the center with a firearm. Following that incident, the decision was made to close the shelter earlier than initially planned for the safety of not only the warming center visitors themselves, but also transit commuters and city staff. So I want to go over some facts, because those of you who know me, I like facts, data, and evidence. So these are the facts in chronological order regarding the opening and closing of the warming center this past week. So initially, the warming center was scheduled to be open until the morning of Monday, January 22nd. The decision was based on the weather forecast during the week leading up to January 13th. Since opening the warming center, staff and security, as I mentioned, experienced an increasing number of health and safety concerns as the week progressed. City staff continuously monitored the weather forecast in order to make any adjustments to the opening or closing of the warming center. On Friday afternoon, the decision was made to adjust the closing date of the warming center to one day earlier than planned, because the temperatures were predicted to rise above the city's temperature threshold. Once the decision was made to close a day earlier, staff had pre-scheduled the release of an email and social media post to go out on Sunday morning at 8 a.m. On Saturday evening, again, unfortunately, the warming center experienced a rise in safety incidents, including the most serious incident of a visitor bringing in a firearm that resulted in felony charges by APD. I would refer you all to the press release for more details that was released. After the incident, and after much discussion with staff and APD, the decision was made to close the warming center immediately based on the health, safety, and welfare of all those involved. Again, who was involved? Visitors who were using the warming center, transit commuters, as well as city staff. So on Sunday at 8 a.m., the previously scheduled notification announcing the closing of the warming center due to the temperatures rising was sent out as scheduled. Noticing, however, that the weather forecast was on the borderline of the city's threshold, city staff engaged in further conversations, and it was decided to keep the warming center closed due to the increased severity of those health and safety and security incidents. Now, I want to make special note of the following. Even with the closing earlier than planned, no person seeking shelter at the ATC was left without a place to stay overnight on Saturday or Sunday night. So when we made the call to close, the first thing was to APD, we are not just letting people go out in the cold. In fact, for over 10 years, the city has responsibly and appropriately operated the warming centers. We have never left anyone behind, and we did not do it Saturday or Sunday night. So that involved the Aurora Police Department working at our request to contact our subject matter expert on homelessness in this community, and that is Hesed House. And Hesed House assured us that they could make the arrangements for all who wished to partake of their services. So let me remind all of you and the community, it is against the law to force anybody, regardless of their circumstance, into a shelter or into a van. You may recall years ago, New York City, well-intended, tried to do it, and that was shut down. So everyone there was given transportation by the Aurora Police Department who wanted to go, and Hesed House accommodated. Now, I want to remind you that Hesed House, for years, has operated with their guidelines and who they can and cannot serve. So if there was anybody, and I understand there were some of the visitors in our warming center who, unfortunately, for whatever reason, did not qualify to go to Hesed House, and they chose or knew not to go to Hesed House. So I want to give a tremendous amount of thanks to our partners at Hesed House, who quickly made the accommodations for individuals who had nowhere else to go because of that sudden closing on Saturday night. With the support of the Aurora Police Department, as I said, everyone was transported safely. The city was also informed that Wesley Methodist Church opted to open a temporary shelter on Saturday evening and Sunday evening. Once city staff was able to confirm their opening, we communicated that option to the community. As we did in our press release on Sunday, and I'm doing again tonight on behalf of the city, we thank Wesley Methodist Church for opening its doors and their willingness to also assist in the situation. So with all that said, I want to thank everyone who worked, volunteered, and supported the ATC Warming Center since January 13th. Our staff at the ATC has been faced with a consistent set of challenges. Anybody who's been involved with this, that's been around, has never seen the level of challenges that we've had in the 10 years we've been doing this, consistently and on an escalating basis. Starting, and this year on top of it, our ATC staff had the issue of the unscheduled migrant buses to deal with, which they did with grace, with professionalism, and always, like at the warming center, keeping the best interests of those visitors in mind. And every time we asked our staff and our police department and our fire department to step up, they answered the call. So our community partner in Hesed House, you hear me say this a lot, we seek out the advice and the expertise of subject matter experts. In this community, there is no doubt Hesed House is that expert, and led by Joe Jackson, his incredibly dedicated board, and his incredibly courageous staff who deal with this day in and day out all year round. And we're very, very grateful for that. So I don't believe we can overstate or over-dramatize the challenges of running a warming center in a facility that is a public bus and train station. In fact, at one time before COVID, the busiest one on the line and the end of the line. So we've had all kinds of wonderful suggestions sent our way. I think after 10 years, we have done our best, but we've never had these challenges. So like all of our city programs, given what we experienced Saturday night, which was unprecedented, but a very difficult but necessary decision, we're going to reevaluate now. We've got some break in the weather, and we're going to continue to look and see what the future is going to hold for the warming center. But we have stepped up for over 10 years. We know what we need to do, but we've got some challenges that we need to address, and we will as a staff and as a community. So, happy to answer any questions.
Before we have questions, and we'll take questions from the alderman, even though we're not at that portion of the agenda where we're taking questions, well, at least let aldermen speak out because it's an important issue. The challenge you spoke of, Mr. Alexandru, I think actually you're being a little kind, and I'm going to be a little bit more direct. The individual that was charged with the serious felonies of possessing and brandishing a gun didn't just simply bring a gun into the warming center. He brought this gun and proceeded to pistol whip the people that were inside the center and then point this loaded gun at individuals inside the warming center.
Including our staff.
Including our staff that were shaken. Also, the individuals that were given an opportunity to go to Hesed House or other opportunities that could not get in this house, Hesed House, is because, one, many of these folks were already prevented and put out of Hesed House for incidents that they caused while they were there, as well as a number of them being sex offenders that are not allowed to go into Hesed House based on children and families being there. And this is who we've been dealing with at the warming center and doing it for 10 years. So it's not as simple as saying we closed it down early and put people out into the street, because that didn't happen. There are a number of issues that go on there that we've been dealing with for 10 years and just didn't share with our city council, because what's most important is we do provide the facilities, whether it be warming or cooling centers, to those who are in need. And we have been doing that, and we'll determine how we'll proceed in the future based on the circumstances. That we don't want to put citizens that are there just to keep warm. We don't want to put folks that are traveling on the train, and we don't want to put our own employees in that type of danger where they're faced with dealing with sex offenders and people brandishing and pointing and beating people with guns. Questions from the audience?
And Mr. Mayor, if I could just say
Please
that
do.
you hit on two of Hesed House's absolute bars from entry: the sex offender and violence against their staff. So we take the lead from Hesed House, and if we see anyone being threatened, our staff especially, but just as equally a commuter or a resident, we're going to get APD involved, because they're the law enforcement subject matter experts who are going to enforce the law. And let me just say one other thing. With the ramifications of the Safety Act, things have changed even in places like shelters and warming centers because of past discretions or transgressions that would allow the police to take them out. Now it's making it at times more dubious and more difficult for the officers to handle. And folks know that, certain folks know that, and so it's one of the challenges we have to deal with if we're going to continue to have a warming center in a facility that's really a public bus and transit and train center.
Questions, comments from the alderman? Alderman Lesh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I just want to recognize the staff that was there, because I'm sure that was an intense amount of fear to have a person with a gun, and commend the APD for mitigating the situation without incident. That being said, I guess I want to know, if the threat had been mitigated, why close the center?
The staff was completely traumatized. It was 9 o'clock at night on a Saturday night. We had made the arrangements for everybody to be safely out of there. So we didn't think it was fair or right to put people right back in to where moments before they had a person running around with a gun, threatening, hitting, doing whatever. Our staff was traumatized, really. And some may say, again, we're delivering the facts here, Alderman, because our people were there, our police officers were there. And we take the word of our staff and the word of our police officers when they swear out complaints that resulted in 4 felonies against this individual. And I'm really hesitant to go into it because the charges are still pending.
And let me say this, Mr. Alexandru, I don't think any alderman with any common sense sitting up here at this dais would force any employee to remain in a circumstance where they just had a gun pointed in their face, a loaded gun pointed in their face, after seeing that same person pistol whip someone with that weapon. So, stupid question. And I say not many questions are stupid. That was a stupid. What else you got?
Second question, because I also like facts, data, and evidence. The
Sure.
city's Facebook page listed 50 incidents.
That's correct.
And then your email said several incidents. Where are these documented? Because
Where are these documented?
I looked on the police portal and it doesn't have any.
Okay.
So I'm just wondering where these
So
incidents are documented.
that's a combination of police calls, some police calls that the police, because of their training, were able to de-escalate, mitigate without having to take further action, and calls by Aurora Fire Department paramedics. So we've never seen that level of incidents in the 10 years that we've had since January 13th, and then if you even go beyond to the beginning of the year, I believe there's even more incidents than that.
Yeah, the residents said the same thing, that there was a lot of,
I'm sorry, who?
the people who were staying there that I've talked to
Okay.
said the same thing. One of them even had the gun pointed at him, so I can identify
Okay.
with those people that are experiencing
So then
trauma.
what's
So the residents backed up.
Hold on, Mr. Johnson. So then what's your point?
The question, I'm just identifying, the question that I was asking, though, was about the incidents and where those documented, and can we get that documented? Because it's not on the city's portal for police reports.
Okay.
And they reported 5 to 6 incidents throughout the course of the week. And then I guess.
Alderman, we're not exaggerating those. Let
I
me
get-
just say for the record.
Okay.
And I kind of take offense to that inference that we would do that because we don't operate that way.
I'm just
You've been
So
asking.
I'm-
hold on. You've been on the council not even a year. And this has been going on for 10 years. We've been
Yes, sir.
with this heating and cooling in the summertime. So unless you have some real questions about concerns about the future, then I'm going to move on to some other alderman that may have a
Sure, I
question.
have one kind, which is about the future, which is Elgin operates through March for their warming center regardless of temperature. I do feel like as we reevaluate, we need to either extend our period through March or we need to say 32 degrees
All right, noted. Any other questions?
and provide security.
Any other questions? No other questions or comments? All right, well, then we'll move on from this particular portion of the agenda.
Thank you.
All right, well, let's go on. We don't have any mayor appointments. Madam Clerk, do we have any members of the public wishing to offer public comment?
We do, Mr. Mayor.
Madam Clerk, will you please read the rules of public comment?
Pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, all persons shall be permitted an opportunity to address public officials under the rules established and recorded by the council. Under our rules, any person may address the city council for up to 3 minutes with a maximum of 30 minutes allotted for all public comment. No person other than the timekeeper or the chair for the purpose of maintaining order may interrupt a person recognized for public comment during his or her comments. Members of the city council shall not engage with nor respond to a speaker during the time set aside for public comment. Staff is directed to follow up with members of the public with respect to any concerns raised during public comment within the scope of the city's authority following the adjournment of this meeting.
Will you call the first speaker wishing to offer public comment?
Shannon Buckley.
Ms. Buckley, you have 3 minutes to speak beginning now.
My name is Shannon Buckley. I'm a lifelong Aurora resident of Ward 4, and a board member of Aurora Mutual Aid, formerly known as Indivisible Aurora. When we and a large group of community organizers heard about the city's decision to shut down the warming center early, the day after a very scary incident at the Aurora Transportation Center due to a 15-degree policy, which is a completely inhumane policy, we knew that the city wasn't telling the truth about why they were shutting it down, and we also knew we had to pick up the pieces of the mess the city left behind. Our group chat was blowing up with everyone offering up whatever resources we could, and we quickly had a backup plan. However, we didn't think we would actually have to use it because several people were told by their alder people that it was being handled. We kept waiting and waiting and waiting to see if the situation was going to be solved. At 3:30 on Sunday, we got word that the city was not going to back down from the decision, and we were going to have to scramble to get everything in place. We were flying by the seat of our pants, but we managed to create a warm and caring place for these people to get some good sleep for the night. I'm forever grateful to this group of organizers that I'm lucky enough to call friends, and to Hesed House for their constant dedication over the years to provide resources and support in the areas where our local government has dropped the ball. Last week, we received word that a member of our unhoused community lost their life due to the exposure to the elements before the warming center opened recently. The irony is not lost on me that there is a vote tonight to approve giving a massive tax cut to a multi-billion-dollar corporation while we are here begging you to take better care of your vulnerable citizens. While you take that vote, I hope you think about that man. While you shake the hands of the executives, I hope you think about that man. While you applaud that the TIF gets approved, I hope you think about that man. Why have you found money to pay for a casino, but you can't find enough money to make sure all of your citizens stay warm at night? Thank you.
Madam Clerk, call the next speaker.
Sandy Schmidt.
Ms. Smith, you have 3 minutes to speak, beginning now.
Hi, my name is Sandy Schmidt. I am a precinct committee person, Aurora University, 29, Ward 5. At the December 12th casino public hearing, Mr. Alex Andrews stated that people and the JRB must want the casino TIF because everybody voted yes for it. Mark Armstrong, who's elected official, supervisor assessment, voted no at the JRB. Chris Lausen, Kane County Treasurer, elected official, spoke out against it at the December 12th meeting. 4 Kane County board members spoke out against it at the JRB. 3 Batavia School Board officials voted no. And I'd also like to mention that the Batavia School District took a deal with the City of Aurora and the casino so that they would get their money up front. So if the TIF is a good idea, then why did the Batavia School District make a deal? I actually sent you all an email earlier today with 600 names of concerned citizens who signed a petition that they were against the TIF. So those are several people that have actually voted no. I'd also like to play for you a video from Dr. Vincent Gaddis.
You don't have to give anything back to the community for 20 years or whatever it is. Now, here's the question. Are these our goals? Now, don't you don't want to be an honest person, blah, 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 blah. No. Come on. These are our values. Video games, violence, crime, drugs, TIFs, low graduation rates, 10% poverty. Those are our values, people, because that's what's happening in our community. But it's okay. Because what we got to start right here today is a revolutionary battle. Let's start the revolution right here. Let's start the revolution right now. Let's make a commitment to get together, religious leaders.
Forgive me, I actually went a little too far. Let me get back to where he talks about the TIF.
That says to corporations, come on in. We want you. You don't have to pay any taxes. You don't have to give anything back to the community for 20 years or whatever it is. Now, here's the question. Are these our goals?
So if I'd like to end it, Dr. Vincent Gaddis referred to the TIF that we're giving billionaires, the billionaire company, millions of
Thank you,
dollars
ma'am.
for
Your
20
3 minutes is up.
years,
Madam Clerk, call the
and he
next
wants to
speaker.
know
Curtis
if
Wilson.
these are our
Ms. Curtis
values.
Wilson, please step
Consider
up.
that.
Please have a seat, ma'am. Mr. Wilson, you have 3 minutes to speak, beginning now.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Curtis Wilson, and I have come before you to bring an update just regarding the Civilian Review Board and then a program I think is very worthwhile to note. So I'm actually a new chairperson of the Civilian Review Board, and our original 9 members, unfortunately, we've lost 5. So Ward 10, 1, 7, 9, I'm sorry, and 6. So 10, 1, 7, and 6. And so I'm hoping that me coming as the chairperson, really doing my part to do what I can to promote the Civilian Review Board to perhaps showcase how we need some help. We are literally less than half of the original group. And with the city's ordinance, the positions of the Civilian Review Board, a portion of the city located on the in Kane County, west of the Fox River, the portion of the city located in Kane County, east of the Fox River or in Kendall County, and the portion of the city located in DuPage or in Will County. So I would love to have people in Fifth Ward to come or wherever, but to be fair, to be equitable, for it to be heterogeneous, we have to follow the ordinance, which has those stipulations. So I'll pass this around just so everyone can take a look at that. And then my next point is to talk about a really honorable program for veterans. I'm on the AVAC, Aurora Veterans Advisory Council, and this program is called Veteran Smile. And so this is a program, it's a grassroots 501c3 run by all volunteers. No one gets paid, no one gets a salary. They provide dental care for veterans who are indigent, who are unemployed, and are honorably discharged. And one of the beautiful things about this program is that the veterans will submit pre and post pictures of their smiles. And this is just an example of what a pre and a post person, a veteran, an honorably discharged veteran, has gotten from the Veteran Smile program. This young lady here, actually, and they've consented to have these things released, so these have been on the news all over the country. But this young lady is an Aurora resident, and she is so happy. The Veterans Administration dismissed her from the VA, this young lady right here, with no teeth. And the Veteran Smile program actually provided her a full set of teeth. And so with that, I would love to just raise awareness, because they're 501c3, and hopefully we can have some participation with our awards. Folks would donate. You can go to the website that's in the brochure. And then last but not least, they are partnering with East Aurora High School. They're doing ceramic poppies, and these poppies are going to be created by the students where they're red and black glaze on a metal stem, and we're going to try to sell 100. So the goal for last year was 50. They've done 100 this year, and then these will be placed at the Memorial Day Parade route where you can gather them after. So I just want to pass these around too. Thank you guys
sir.
so much.
3 minutes. Yes, sir. Has subsided. Mr. Muhammad, will you please speak with Mr. Wilson about this discussion we had just yesterday about recruiting more folks to the Civilian Review Board? Madam Clerk calls the next speaker.
Sue Elliott.
Mr. Elliott, you have 3 minutes to speak, beginning now.
I'm Thew Elliott, Ward 4. I'm the staff person from Wesley United Methodist Church who made the decision to open our doors to neighbors in need over the last few days. Without confirmation from me or permission from the church, the city posted that we were a warming center after the shutdown at the transportation center. That shutdown, according to the city, was due to the cumulative effect of 50 instances of violence. There was no post from the city asking agencies to step up and fill the void. I am grateful to Alderman John Lesh, who steps in as a person of conscience and goodwill in spite of this body's failures. His is the model I encourage you all to follow. John helped, and along with several others, responded to requests and information from a coalition of caring activists who are committed to the well-being of our city's people. Per the city's own admission at the time, by broadcasting our efforts, you were putting me and my church at a risk of up to 10 violent incidents every night, and yet you blithely thanked us for picking up your slack. You either knowingly put us in danger or you exaggerated the risk, and I'm confident that either of those possibilities could be true of this body. I know it is right to be a host when you can help. And of course, none of the volunteers or I experienced a single moment of violence or fear or threat. And beyond what the city was providing at the center, we were able to offer warm food, charging stations, listening ears, and most importantly, quiet darkness where our guests could fully lie down and experience safe sleep. Thank you for opening the transportation center. It's the bare minimum. I observe that you regularly donate the bulk of your time to property management and very little to the care of people. When you do consider people, you too often respond to them as problems. But the problem is your failure to create structures of support that can ensure our health and safety. Please give your energy to the problems. We, the people, will take care of each other while we wait for you to come along. And when you do, we will be thrilled to collaborate.
Madam Clerk, call the next speaker.
Adam Pauley.
Mr. Pauley, step to the mic. Thank you, kind sir. You have 3 minutes to speak, beginning now.
Thank you. I don't think the sun's shining in Aurora today. You know, it always seems to be one more beer, one more pill, one more bet. And addiction, substance abuse, it comes in many forms. It's something that it gets in your mind and it grows and it affects your relationships with other people. I've seen it too many times and it doesn't seem to be getting better. I see it again and again and again, and just recently today. And a lot of the times it's very hard to measure how good or bad things are. But one thing that we do have is numbers from the CDC on deaths. So in Illinois, out of 100,000, the death rate was 13.1 in 2014. In 2019, it was 21.9. And in 2021, it was 29 out of 100,000. That is not a good trend. We've got a lot of work to do in this policy area. It's going to require brave and bold continued action by our leaders. But our community was built by those who are brave and bold. People like Marie Wilkinson and Sherman Jenkins and others. It is on their foundation that we stand today, and we need to reverse this trend, and we need to continue. Thank you.
Do you have any additional speakers, Madam Clerk?
We do not.
All right, let's go on to the next portion of the agenda, the public hearing. You read the first item under public hearing, Clerk.
24-0044, public hearing regarding the execution of an ordinance providing for the execution of an annexation agreement with the owners of record, providing for R2C 1 Family Dwelling District, R4AC 2 Family Dwelling District, B2C General Retail District, and OS1C Conservation, Open Space, and Drainage District, with a conditional use zoning for the territory which may be annexed to the City of Aurora, located at the southeast corner of Ogden Avenue and Farnsworth Avenue on vacant land in Kendall and Kane County, Aurora.
Is there anyone who would like to be heard for the purposes of public comment?
Yes.
Kind sir, you step up to the microphone and state your name.
My name is Tom Passero. I'm a resident and a realtor serving this community and others nearby for the last 50 years. Last Tuesday, I attended a city council of the whole meeting where the approval of the new D.R. Horton house and single-family subdivision at Farnsworth and Ogden was discussed. In that discussion, the city is putting a 30% cap on rentals in the subdivision as part of their approval. I do not know why the city would want to do this and make it impossible for those future homeowners to rent their homes if it is in their best interest. I believe that the city council is not allowed to take away one of the bundle of rights associated with home ownership. Doing so would be a mistake. Our city currently licenses landlords and provides for the Property Standards Department to inspect rental units to make sure that owners maintain the condition of the property and limit the number of people who can live in the home. Now the city would be making property standards responsible for keeping a census of rental units in the subdivisions too. All right? If you approve this, the city will set a precedent to take control of new subdivisions instead of the homeowners deciding if they want to restrict rentals. If the city does this, then the homeowners can't change it. The goal, I'm sure, is to keep the neighborhoods looking nice, whether they are owner or tenant occupied. Is the author of this rental cap saying that renters aren't good caretakers of homes? I think not. The subdivision and others have a homeowners association can restrict rentals if they want. They can also have other restrictions to keep their neighborhoods nice. Other building and zoning have put things together so that extra parking is available like Oak Brook, Schomburg, or Bolingbrook's Winston Village. There's a way to do that and alleviate overcrowding, all right? Whoever is behind this rental cap must not remember 2008, where homeowners owed more on their homes than they could sell them for. If those homeowners wanted to move, they had four choices. They could either bring money to closing in order to pay off the entire loan, they could rent their homes and wait until the value of the home increased and/or their loan was low enough to be able to sell it. If they were not allowed to rent the home and did not have the funds to do the closing, then they would usually ask their lender to do a short sale, and if approved by their lender, then the lender allowed them to stay in the home until the home was sold and absorbed the loss. That usually took 6 months to a year. Lastly, they just walked away from the property and let it go into foreclosure. With this option, the house was abandoned and fell into disrepair or worse. This cap is not in the best interest of our city. As a realtor who's been selling homes in this area for over 50 years and who lives in Aurora, all right, I'm violently against it. If the city is allowed to take away the right to rent your home, they're making a huge mistake. If the residents of the Homeowners Association feel otherwise, they can vote and restrict the number of rentals. The city should stay out of it. The City of Aurora has enacted standards for occupancy from the Aurora Property Maintenance Code. All right? Their property maintenance codes 4031, 4041, 4052, etc. These codes and others are enforced by the Aurora Property Standards Department in order to ensure that rented houses are not overcrowded and are safe. These codes also apply to all the residential properties in the city, but to my knowledge, they are rarely enforced. Unlike in the case of homeowners, no one inspects those houses, all right? The property and the Aurora ordinance that dictates the number of people living or the safety, all right? That's it. Thank you.
Are there anyone else who would like to be heard for the purpose of the public comment on this item? Anyone that would like to be heard from the purpose of public comment on this item? Mr. Mayor? Hold on. Before we entertain that motion to close the public hearing, I'm going to ask if there are any members of the council wishing to offer public hearing, and before I call on individuals, I'm going to ask, I know this came out of committee with this determination, we're calling our resident expert that has talked about this issue for decades, Alderman Seville. Can you kind of explain to the council what the reasoning behind the alderman putting this type of restriction on a new development like this?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This really came about because of the Great Recession in 2008. That was stated earlier in the gentleman's public speaking on this issue. And it was really felt that the council needed to provide some stability during especially times of economic upheaval, that the original developments that we were approving over a period of years, in some cases decades, were really designed to be owner-occupied and not rental. And in trying to keep neighborhoods strong and good neighbors to each other, we felt at the time that we need to adopt a cap, and per FHA guidelines and VA guidelines, 30% is the maximum cap that we could go up to. We have approved those percentages in a lesser amount. I think we did a couple of them 20%. I think even we went down as low as 10%. Alderman Franco remembers. And it's just as important that when people initially go into a property, expected to be owner-occupied, that they could have some assurances down the road, regardless of the economic upheavals, that trend will indeed continue and their investments will not only survive but thrive.
Alderman Franco, then Alderman Lesh.
I'm just going to add on to what Alderman Seville says. Absolutely right. We've dealt with this for a number of years. And I will tell you the sentiments, the people that I talk to, is they prefer not to have rentals in their neighborhood. They feel, and this is the people talking, they feel that rental property is less maintained than home ownership. Right or wrong, this is their sentiment. We learned the hard way in the AU area. That was a big deal over there. So I would say capping that 30% is at least appropriate, because I think most people would like to know that their neighbor is going to live in that house, because odds are they're going to keep it up, and this is what they've seen. So I basically, that's the sentiment of the people that live in the city of Aurora.
Alderman Lesh.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to just say I echo and agree with all the statements about the cap on rental properties. I just want to weigh in at this point during the public comment in lieu of commenting on the agenda items that we have before us later. So my general, and this is largely so both staff and the rest understand my position on these developments. I feel like this one, staff did an excellent job working with D.R. Horton on the entrance, especially where there's potential traffic issues on a very busy Ogden Avenue. That being said, the technology to build green and energy efficient has existed in the state of Illinois for the past 10 years. The Passive House Institute actually in the United States exists in Champaign-Urbana.
Point of order here. This is nothing
This is public
to do with
comment.
what we're,
No.
with what we are discussing as.
You don't get
part of
to
this
have public
hearing.
comment the same public as public. You're not the public. You're an alderman now.
Nothing to do with
So
this.
what is the issue that you're going to address on this particular thing? I know you would like to talk about green stuff all the time.
I'm just talking as far as development goes, and this is a residential development, that I would like to see our residential developments hit the highest standard that we can.
I think you made that point the other day. Do you have anything else?
And I'm making that officially on the record. And the other thing that I would like to officially put on the record is that I don't feel like we've done enough due diligence, as the concrete plant will not get annexed and we will not have control over it. I do appreciate Alderwoman Smith's
Again,
initiative.
point of order, this is nothing more than your opinion.
All right, well, Alderman Flesh, you made your opinion. You made it part of the record, which is you've said a number of times. Any other alderman have any other thing you want to state? Any other?
Yes.
Alderman Buck.
Thank you. On this matter, I've spoken to Mr. Schroth. Number of residents contacted Dan. They are not able to be here tonight to speak. But I don't see the attorney for the petitioner here. Is he here?
Mr. Whitaker had another public meeting that he was not able to attend, but we have a colleague of his present here.
Okay. Well, the residents, one of my aldermen just started to allude to it, about the traffic issue. So that was one of the things that we discussed. I wanted Mr. Whitaker to have the opportunity to share that they did do a traffic study, but I'll just ask Mr. Schroth. There is a number of things that Mr. Whitaker did not get the chance to share last week. A number of things that are planned for this intersection will help greatly with this development. And I just wanted Mr. Schroth the opportunity to share that.
Yeah, thank you, Alderman. Actually, so we're looking at this as a multi-tiered approach. As you know, the intersection of Farnsworth and Ogden is a regionally poorly run intersection. So something has to be done, and that's going to take a couple of years with IDOT's assistance, clearly. Ogden carries about 40,000 cars a day, and in perspective, this leg of Farnsworth, that southern leg, is about 8,000 cars a day. So Ogden is always going to get the predominant amount of green. What happens is the left turn bay on the southern end of Farnsworth backs up and causes issues at Summerlin. So what we did was we worked with the developer to make sure that as part of this initial phase, that this phase will access the full access point on Ogden. So a predominant amount of this new traffic, albeit a small amount compared to what's coming up on Farnsworth already, they will utilize that full access point on Route 34. And at the same time, the developer has committed to adding that additional lane on the north side of Farnsworth, and they've also committed to nearly doubling the left turn bay stacking at that area between Summerlin and Ogden. And in the meantime, we're going to take the fee in lieu they're going to pay us, which is about a quarter of the total $2 million intersection improvement for the future. And we're going to start phase one studies this year and then start seeking federal funds to assist us with that $2 million, because ultimately what we want to do is add 2 left turn bays from northbound on Farnsworth, turning left, southward, westward on Ogden. But in order to do that, you have to mirror that on the north leg, which requires you then to buy right-of-way, which all of this requires IDOT permits. So it's going to be a multi-year, multi-phased approach, but The good news is the developer is committed to doing things right off the bat that will assist with some of that traffic generated.
And the developer has committed $500,000?
Yeah, I believe
Thereabouts?
it's 450.
450, okay.
Because the intersection improvements are calculated to be about 1.8 million, so about a quarter of that was 450.
Thank you.
You bet.
Any other questions, comments? All right, there's been a second, there's been a motion made by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Franco to close and adjourn the public hearing. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Yamas?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
No.
Alderman Warman?
Yes.
11 yes, 1 no.
Hearing is adjourned. The next, we will hear both the consent agenda and the direct to council consent agenda in full. Will the clerk now please read both agendas in full?
220211, an ordinance creating sections 2-65 of the Code of Ordinances pertaining to aldermanic initiative funds. 230978, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute the local public agency amendment for federal participation with the state of Illinois in an amount not to exceed $228,109 and Phase 2 supplemental engineering services agreement with H.R. Green, and the city clerk to sign the appropriation of Rebuild Illinois bond funds for Montgomery Road and Hill Avenue intersection improvements in an amount of $228,109. 231045, a resolution to accept a contract with Jen Lewin Studio to lease the artwork The Pool for Aurora's October 2024 Public Art Light Festival. 231056, a resolution authorizing the mayor to renew the intergovernmental agreement with the Fox Metro Water Reclamation District to provide maintenance services for the combined sewer overflow treatment facility located at 400 North Broadway. 240009, a resolution approving the Fifth Amendment to the intergovernmental agreement between the City of Aurora, the City of Naperville, and the Naperville Township Road District to widen North Aurora Road in the vicinity of the CN Railway crossing and to appropriate $3,136,378 of MFT funds for the project. 240023, approval of the minutes of the Tuesday, January 9th, 2024 City Council meeting.
So moved.
Second. All right, there's been a motion by Alderman Garza, second by Alderman Franco, to approve both the consent agenda and direct to council consent agenda. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Yamas?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver? Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
Yes.
Alderman Warman?
Yes.
12 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. The consent agenda and direct to council consent agenda are both approved. Let's go to unfinished business. Madam Clerk, will you call the first item under unfinished business?
231009, an ordinance approving the City of Aurora Farnsworth Bilter Tax Increment Financing District Redevelopment Project Area Redevelopment Plan and Project.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Franco. Are there any questions or discussions regarding this ordinance? Alderman Lash?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wasn't here when the initial RDA went through, so I was curious when the mayor's staff met with aldermen two at a time, were the full details of the $50 million TIF we're voting on tonight discussed during those private meetings?
What are you asking?
When meeting with aldermen two at a time, did they include the $50 million TIF that we're voting on tonight prior to voting for the RDA?
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
You don't have a
So,
question.
what did we do that, about 15 months ago? I do not remember that personally, if we had or not. I know along the way we had found out, but I can't remember in those meetings if we actually talked about that, because there's a number of things. That's my personal recollection or lack thereof. I just don't remember where, if it was at meetings or later on.
Nevertheless, whether it was those meetings or other meetings, the alderman became aware of it, and there was consensus.
And then the next question is, during the December TIF hearing, Mr. Alexander said, so if the casino ceased to exist, then we would potentially be facing decisions, and in previous meetings said we saved the casino. So I've never read in the newspaper that the casino was leaving. I'm just curious, have we received any emails, letters, notifications from Penn Entertainment that the casino planned to leave the city of Aurora?
Explain the reduction in revenues, continued reduction in revenues, and the antiquated casino and the competition that we were feeling around the state.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, my memory is crystal clear about the 2x2 meetings, which are a long-standing legal tradition for us to educate aldermen ahead of significant agenda items that we've been proposing since 2017. So, Alderman Leish, to your question, your first question, we unequivocally explained every aspect of the bond to each alderman. And we did it with enough time for each alderman to take it all in, spend some time. We didn't rush it through. We had, again, subject matter experts in the field advising us, and all the aldermen were fully apprised. And to this day, I've never had an alderman who voted for it tell me or our staff that they were missing any information or they misunderstood any aspect. And we've gone to great lengths to publicly explain all the details of the bond. And I'm sorry, you said that I said a couple things? Could you please?
Yeah, we could potentially lose the casino, and he didn't read anything in the newspaper.
Well,
So if the casino ceased to exist,
yes,
then we would potentially be facing decisions. And then previously you said we saved the casino. I'm just curious, did the casino ever notify us in writing with an email letter or notify us that they were leaving the city of Aurora?
They did not, but they didn't have to, because the writing was clearly on the wall. And Mr. Minnick and his predecessor gave us the warning shots about the declining revenue over time from where we began to where we were headed. And so it was incumbent on the administration and the staff to make the case, since however many years ago this community made the decision to allow a casino here and build it in our downtown, to figure out how we were going to deal with this ongoing decline in revenue. So in our discussions with the casino, in our discussions with aldermen, we consistently and publicly gave the facts about the declining revenues. And somewhere in that timeline, the state took some actions, if you recall, to expand gaming, and that hurt the casino even further. So the decision, again, came down to casino or no casino. Wasn't a referendum on gaming or the evils of gaming or anything. That was done years ago. So we made the proactive decision to work out the deal we did to not only save the casino, but relocate it to position ourselves for financial success. I think today at, what committee was it, PHST? We started, once again, the 2024 quality of life grants that come from gaming. And also, again, your award funds come from gaming. So, full disclosure, everybody was given information and opportunity to come back throughout the entire public process to question us further. And Chris, do you want to talk, I mean, is that a...
Go ahead.
I mean, about the financial elements of it, the declining revenues?
Sure. When the casino opened, or, well, let's go right to the heyday. During the heyday, which was in the, I believe, the early 2000s, the casino was generating approximately $15 million in gaming revenue for the city. That has fallen precipitously since those peak times, and now they're on a pace to where they generate anywhere from between about $5 million up to about $6 million on an annual basis, maybe up to $6.5, depending on the year. But certainly, it's about a third of what they were doing in their heyday.
Thank you. The main question was.
Oh, hold on.
I'm going to add to that.
Go ahead, Alderman Smith.
I remember sitting in those meetings, and one of my questions to Penn Entertainment is.
Is your mic on?
It is.
Good.
Was what would happen if we did nothing? And their answer to me was they had absolutely no intentions of adding any additional funding into the current casino. Therefore, with the decline in revenues that we were getting, which will continue to decline, we eventually would have ended up with a casino that would have been giving us a minimum amount of revenue. It would have been an eyesore, very unattractive and antiquated. So at the end of the day, we were going to end up left with a kind of an ugly mess, because people were going to stop going there, because this casino was going, if it wasn't going to be built in Aurora, it was going to be built somewhere close by that would take the people that would come here to that casino. So they were very clear that they were not going to put any additional money into the current casino.
And then a follow-up question, you had mentioned the.
Hold on, one second. Did you have a comment on that, Alderman Masiacos?
Just clarification, Mayor. The casino had to stay in Aurora, right? It wouldn't go, the license is for Aurora?
The license is for Aurora, and the change in the law allowed them to move within the city limits.
Right.
But I believe what Alderwoman Smith is referring to is the fact that Penn owns another property in Joliet, and so all of their resources were clearly going to go to support Joliet, which wouldn't obviously benefit us in the least unless we decided to go and gamble in Joliet.
Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Lesh.
I just wanted to establish that they didn't say they were leaving, that's all. So thank you for answering that question.
And again, we don't make it a habit of waiting to get a letter like that, because when you wait, Alderman, it's usually too late. They're already gone. So again, we were being proactive.
This question wasn't on my list, but because Alderwoman Smith brought it up. Per the original RDA in the 1990s, are they contractually obligated to remove the casino? I believe that was a precondition for them coming into the city.
Yes, sir. And the night that the RDA was approved, I made that clear, and we showed there were some people in the community who misread it or misunderstood it, but it's clear that they have the responsibility to remove the casino.
Okay.
The present
So it wouldn't
casino.
become a blight, right, correct. And then the other thing that you said was about the funds, the gaming tax funds, and you said instead of spending that money on brick and mortar or salaries or equipment like other communities have with their casino, this community chose to invest in its people, and you referenced the quality of life grants.
Ward funds.
And ward funds. But in this budget, we're giving $1.25 million of gaming tax to economic development, $2 million for central services. We do spend on brick and mortar then, correct? And salaries, we use gaming taxes.
I'd have to look at that. I don't.
Yeah, I don't believe there are any salaries that come out of there. There are individual items that do come out of there related to sometimes economic development, things of that nature, but there are no salaries that do.
Okay, so there are brick and mortar investments that come out of the gaming tax.
Not
No brick and mortar, no
We'll
salary.
have to look at that, but I don't believe that's the case.
Okay.
We'll look at it.
And then I guess my other concern was when you were talking about the 6 of 7 taxing bodies at the JRB, and you said that, you're not sure that any of us have the authority or persuasive power to convince independently elected taxing bodies to vote, but we did have a coercive IGA with the city of Batavia, the Batavia School District, that said that if they voted for the JRB and agreed not to speak out against.
That is absolutely incorrect, and don't use that word coercive. Don't use descriptive words like that. That's absolutely incorrect. Explain what the IGA is and continue support of our school district.
Well, it was patterned after the IGA that they willingly, not coerced in any way, as a legal separate taxing body voted on for the Alamo, which has yielded them millions of dollars a year.
Absolutely.
That their school district vitally needs because they've had several referendum defeated. So it was patterned after that. I'm really not sure, Alderman, where you're getting the coercive, because they voted for it. There may have been some of their folks, as I recall, that voted against it, but at the end of the day, it's a democratic process and the majority rules. Similar to the comment I made about the JRB. At the end of the day, the taxing bodies voted, and they voted in favor.
The
So-
IGA specifically said that they would vote yes, and in exchange, they would get the 10%, and that they would not speak out. That's why I used the word coercive.
Well,
So you said that.
At the end of the
that-
day, they voted for it.
You said that you
On their-
used
by their own
persuasive
free
power,
will and
that's
accord.
how.
I'm going to stop this, Lana. Clearly, you're going to vote against it as you vote against everything. So just, we're going to call a vote. So, but I'm going to see if any other aldermen have any questions or comments on this before we call the vote. There being none, Madam Clerk, will you call the vote?
Here,
Alderman Bug.
Still want to comment. Because, residents have contacted, I imagine, a number of us about this, and a couple contacted me about this. Overall, you cannot take these matters in a vacuum. We have the casino here. We saw where we were at with them. What Mr. Alexander started to allude to, and Rebuild Illinois happened in 2019. They put out that there were going to be 5 new casinos. And it's happening and happened. Some have opened, Chicago's open. Waukegan's promised one, Danville's promised one, Rockford's promised one, the south suburbs. Okay? So the writing was on the wall already. Our revenues were already going down. So when that happens, you sit down with your entity and have a discussion and have meetings and have negotiations to make things work. And that's basically what we did. We modeled it partially after our TIF at the Outlet Mall, the most successful TIF in the United States, ever. Ever. In all 50 states, that is the most successful one. That is what it's modeled after. I don't know why the 3 board members on Batavia voted against it. If you look at the numbers, Batavia has a jackpot rolling from our TIFs every year. So I didn't talk to those board members. I don't know why they voted against it. The majority did win, though. So when you go forward in a deal like this, and 5 other casinos are opening, you have to do what's going to make your casino successful. Taking it to that property at the highway across from the Outlet Mall was going to make our casino successful for everyone, for our nonprofits, for our people seeking jobs, for our revenue bodies. It was going to be successful for everyone. If we left it in downtown, I don't even want to think about what could have, would have happened. So, in these things, you have to move forward. You have to look and use your different, just the different things at your disposal. And that's what we tried to do. So, that's just where I'm at with this. People called me and asked me, so I wanted to share that. It will be a good deal for the city. It'll be a good deal for our nonprofits. Like I said, Batavia is not going to be hurting because of this. And I'll be voting yes.
Alderman Warman.
So I was at that Batavia School Board District meeting as a parent. My daughter attends the Batavia School District as a 7th grader. First and foremost, I was shocked how many people that don't live in Batavia or have their kids go to school spoke there. There's probably 10 people there that had zero business being there trying to convince Batavia to turn away something, which I thought was kind of odd. So I think there's a lot of misinformation that was brought for them, and I think the people that voted no against it was just misinformed. One lady literally asked, how come this money wasn't going to East Aurora? The sitting Batavia School Board District member asked, why isn't this money going to East Aurora School District member? And of course, everybody said, because it's in our boundaries, that's why we're getting this, Everybody there that were informed and understood about this TIF but couldn't vote yes fast enough for it. And I spoke to some of the members afterwards, and they just don't understand why so many people were there trying to convince them to vote against such a great project, like you said, that followed the pattern of the outlet mall, why they were trying to convince them not to vote against it. I mean, it was just crazy to sit there and listen to the misinformation that was spewed and confuse people, honestly. So, but I just want to share that with everybody, so thank you.
Any other comments? I think it's important, to say that we've got 12 members of this council for a reason. And so we have 12 independent thinkers, 12 folks that have different ways of coming to a conclusion that add a collective thought, a collective decision to this body. And when we vote on things, we don't always, everybody agree, but the majority wins. That's a democracy. That's how this works. And there's always going to be somebody that may not agree or having a different opinion, but that's their opinion. And as long as the majority of the folk, and that's 11 minus 1, agree that this is a good thing, then we've got to disregard what that one person thinks, no matter how much he or she thinks that they're right. And they believe in what they do, or what they're saying. Just because that person has an agenda and wants to, run the agenda, their own agenda, and go out and spread misinformation and lies about what a TIF is and how it works and the benefit of it to the city, doesn't mean that's the reality of things. The aldermen that actually pay attention to what's going on, many of them have been here for years, some of them, decades. And then some of them brand new, that only been on for a couple of years, recognize the importance of continuing growth in the city of Aurora. I guess many people that step up and talk about, we don't want casino to move, or we don't want this TIF because they don't understand what it is. I guess the question is then, what should we do? Nothing at all? And wait until our casino just fails and gets beat out with all the competition of all the other new licenses that are popping up around the state? Or do we take a proactive approach and make sure we do what's necessary to ensure the viability of our business here in the city of Aurora, which adds to our tax base, which gives us gaming funds that we spend out in our community, doing the social services that these people that come to speak claim that they want us to provide to our community. The same people that are stepping up saying this is terrible, say you've got to do more for the poor. How do you think we do that? We do that because we get this gaming funds and we're able to spend it in the community. The more money we get from gaming, the more we can spend in community on our less fortunate. And the more we get a stronger tax base and we grow and we continue to be that strong city of lights that they know as Aurora. So disregard the agendas and the folks that believe that only what they say is right, and recognize that we have this full body for a reason, to participate in a democracy and to vote the way we believe is right for our city. So at this point, for those that believe we should grow and believe Aurora should be something more than we were in the past, and that we have to be proactive and actually do something to make a difference, let's call that vote and see who those people are. Madam Clerk.
Alderman Yamas?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Denal?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
No.
Alderman Warman?
Yes.
11 yes, 1 no.
Motion carries. That item is approved. Madam Clerk, call the next item.
231010, an ordinance designating the City of Aurora Farnsworth Filter Tax Increment Financing District redevelopment project area.
Motion made by Alderman Smith, seconded by Alderman Garza. We've already talked about this ad nauseum, so Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Yamas?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Denal?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
No.
Alderman Warman?
Yes.
11 yes, 1 no.
Motion carries. Item is approved. Call the next item.
23-1011, an ordinance adopting tax increment financing for the City of Aurora Farnsworth Filter Tax Increment Financing District.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Smith, seconded by Alderman Franco. Call the roll.
Alderman Yamas?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Denal?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
No.
Alderman Warman?
Yes.
11 yes, 1 no.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Let's go on to the next item that is not about this particular, not about the casino. So we're done with the casino. It's all passed. Congratulations, gentlemen. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you for being responsible corporate citizens for the city of Aurora. Madam Clerk, read the next item.
23-1034, an ordinance providing for the execution of an annexation agreement with the owners of record providing for R2C 1 Family Dwelling District, R4AC 2 Family Dwelling District, B2C General Retail District, and OS1C Conservation, Open Space, and Drainage District with a conditional use zoning for the territory which may be annexed to the city of Aurora, located at the southeast corner of Ogden Avenue and Farnsworth Avenue on vacant land in Kendall and Kane County, Aurora.
Motion carried by Alderman Franco, seconded by Alderman Smith. Any question, discussions on this? I know we talked about it a little bit during the public comment section. Any more questions or discussions on this item?
Mayor.
I'm sorry, Alderman Masiacos.
Yes, I know I haven't said too much, and my colleague on the Ninth Ward took the four step, and I want him to too, because this project started off when he was the alderman of this area, and I want to thank him for accepting my invitation to continue working on this with staff. I want to thank staff for being very thorough with our questions, and has taken the time without rushing us in a meeting to understand this better with the developers. And I also want to thank the developers for listening to what Alderman Bug and I both had to contribute and work with us and staff after they work with staff to make changes to the entrances, the design, talk about the parking, the driving lanes and the intersection, and how we're working together collectively to improve it. And I will be voting yes as well on this resolution. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments? Discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Yamas?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
No.
Alderman Warman?
Yes.
11 yes, 1 no.
Motion passes, ordinance passes. I'm sorry. Sorry, I just had a blank out for us. You get to that age.
Been there.
Right. All right, this ordinance passes. All right, let's go on to the next item.
23-1035, an ordinance annexing certain property being vacant land located at the southeast corner of Ogden Avenue and Farnsworth Avenue to the city of Aurora, Kendall County, Illinois, pursuant to an approved annexation agreement.
So moved.
Been a motion made by Alderman Smith. Second by Alderman Garza. I'm sorry, I'm saying Alderman Tolliver. I'm gonna give him this one. He might have beat you to the punch on that. Are there any question discussions on this item? There'll be none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Yamas?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
No.
Alderman Warman?
Yes.
11 yes, 1 no.
Motion passes, ordinance approved. Read the next item.
23-1036, an ordinance annexing certain property being vacant land located at the southeast corner of Ogden Avenue and Farnsworth Avenue to the city of Aurora, Kane County, Illinois, pursuant to an approved annexation agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Franco. Question or discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Yamas?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
No, sorry.
Motion passed, ordinance approved.
Alderman Warman?
Yes.
No, I'm sorry.
11 yes, 1 no.
He messed up the flow. We had a flow going. All right. Read the next item, Madam Clerk.
23-1037, an ordinance establishing a conditional use plan development, approving the Wheatland Crossing Plan description and amending Chapter 49 of the Code of Ordinances by modifying the zoning map attached thereto to an underlying zoning of R2, one-family dwelling district, R4A, two-family dwelling district, B2, general retail district, and OS1, conservation, open space, and drainage district for the property located at the southeast corner of Ogden Avenue and Farnsworth Avenue.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Franco. Any question or discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Yamas?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
No.
Alderman Warman?
Yes.
11 yes, 1 no.
Motion carries. Ordinance is approved. I waited for you that time, bro. Madam Clerk, read the next item.
23-1038, a resolution approving a preliminary plan and plat for lots 1 through 110 of Wheatland Crossing subdivision on vacant land located at the southeast corner of Ogden Avenue
So
and
moved.
Farnsworth Avenue.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Tolliver. Any question or discussions? There being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Yamas?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
Yes.
Alderman Warman?
Yes.
12 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Read the next item.
23-1048, a resolution to endorse the legislative action program of the DuPage Mayors and Managers Conference for the 2024 legislative session.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion made by Alderman Smith, Alderman Franco, second by Alderman Smith. Questions or discussions on that item?
Question, Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Lash.
On the freedom, I expressed in Cal some concerns over the freedom of information disclosure part of this, stating clearly that I support the LGDF funding, but is there a reason that we are supporting to limit the FOIA request for police body camera footage and add an exemption to disclosure for the automatic license plate readers?
Who is the staff person that pushes for that we got? Ms. Voigt, Ms. Alex Voigt. Can you comment on that question? Did you hear it?
Can you repeat the question again?
Sure. Just, was there a reason to address the FOIA request for police body camera footage? I'll just ask one at a time. Have we seen an increase for body cam footage that this impacts the city of Aurora? I understand this is part of a larger group of people that are using their lobbying to go after these bills. I'm just asking if we have a reason.
The issue at hand here has nothing to do with the volume of FOIA requests. It has to do with inconsistencies, differences between the FOIA law and the Body-Worn Camera Act. There are some areas where they conflict, and the primary reason for addressing these changes would be to make them work better together.
And well, they use the word burdensome FOIA requests, so we don't have any burdensome FOIA requests on our police body cam footage.
We have burdensome FOIA requests on any area. The burdensome area would be to do with the commercial FOIA requests. That's one of the other issues that they're looking to address through this, but it has nothing to do with limiting individuals' access or reducing their ability to request footage through the Freedom of Information Act. These are cleanup. These are areas of cleanup.
Well, there's nothing in here that addresses commercial FOIA requests.
These are in the meeting this morning. I have a draft of the notes based on the meetings between the staff and the legislators that are working on this initiative.
Okay. I know there's some from the Edgar County Watchdog Group that's created a concern. And then what about the automatic license plate readers?
What specifically?
It says it adds an exemption to FOIA disclosure for automatic license plate readers. Is that something that is an issue with the city of Aurora?
So in terms of how the license plate readers is being handled in the bill that they're currently negotiating, that, based on the conversation this morning, that will more than likely not be included. So again, they're focusing on the cleanup aspects to make sure that the Freedom of Information Act works well with the body-worn camera law that was recently implemented.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Alderman Buck?
Just for clarification,
Sure.
explain to us on the commercial FOIA
boy.
request. I was trying to follow you there. Just explain that, or
So there are, and please excuse me, Alderman Bug, because this is outside of my area of expertise, but there are commercial FOIA requests where FOIA requests are made that will be used for purposes where they may be able to make money off of them, or they're used in a manner outside of the spirit of the original Freedom of Information Act. That's my understanding of it. So it's looking to potentially increase timelines for those types of requests. So again, it's not removing anyone's ability to ask for things. It's just clarifying some of the areas of the Freedom of Information Act based on the changing technology needs and those sorts of things.
Mr. Minnick?
Do you have it?
Yeah, and I can just elaborate on an example. We get FOIA requests for stale dated checks that have not been cashed after a certain amount of time from firms that actually go out and notify people for a commission that they will help them get the payment that's due to them, and then they receive a fee or a commission. Typically, it's a percentage of the check or something along those lines for providing the discovery, if you will, that there's a payment due to the individual. So that's just one type of, or one example of a commercial type of a FOIA request that we get.
And in that case, as you pointed out, Ms. Voigt, that would be burdensome because they just FOIA everything.
Correct.
To see if there's a potential check outstanding in that example, so they can engage in that service.
Yes.
Any other questions? Alderman Buck? No? Any other questions from the other alderman? There being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Thank you.
Alderman Yamas?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
Abstain.
Alderman Warman?
Yes.
11 yes and 1 not voting.
Motion carries, resolution is approved. Read the last item on our new business, Madam Clerk.
24-0001, a resolution authorizing procurement of an advantage program for professional services from Environmental Systems Research Institute, ESRI, of Redlands, California, in the amount of $408,300 for a 3-year term.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Franco. Are there any questions or discussions on this item? There being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Yamas?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
No.
Alderman Warman?
Yes.
11 yes, 1 no.
Motion carries, the resolution is approved. That concludes unfinished business. There is no new business on the agenda. There are no reports.
Motion.
Is there a motion to approve and pay the bills as listed on the
Yes.
agenda? There's been a motion made by Alderman Franco, seconded by Alderman Garza. Will the clerk call the roll?
Yes.
Alderman Yamas?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
Yes.
Alderman Warman?
Yes.
12 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries, bills are approved. Alderman Franco,
Can I make a quick comment for you?
please do.
I wanted to make a comment about the TIF tonight, about basically what you said, so thank you for saying, I think you covered everything very well. But you said something that I think is very important. You said one word, competition. And I think we have to understand that with the casino and everything we've done over the last 8 years, we've been in competition with everybody. You got Naperville and Oswego and Downers Grove and Geneva Batavia. That's some stiff competition. So when we go out and try to entice businesses, invest in businesses to come here, we are competing with some big players. And from what I've seen over the last 8 years, we've been competing well. So I have to tell everybody, remember that we're in a competition all the time. We're fighting for all these businesses because at the end of the day, those businesses provide for our citizens. So I hope we keep engaging like that, but you have to have that mindset. You got to go out there, you got to dig, and you got to compete. And thank you for competing like you do and the administration. And thank my colleagues too for voting the way you did tonight. It was so important we did that. We've been dealing with this for 15 months. 15 months of this negative orchestrated campaign, and we finally got to resolution. We need to remember going forward that this can happen again. We have to be cognizant of that, and we have to deal with it appropriately going forward. This is why we do what we do. So thank you again for what you did.
Absolutely. And on that note, we will close. There's been a motion to adjourn.
I did. I
Motion to adjourn, second by Alderman Smith, second by Franco. All in favor? This meeting is adjourned.